Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we're going to talk about a bodyweight training exercise, the child outside lunge step up. This is a version of a mountain climber that I really like. When people do mountain climbers and bodyweight training, that is supposed to be part of a bigger idea, but oftentimes people don't get to the bigger idea. The same thing is true of push-ups. Push-ups are part of a larger exercise, but because they are used as a testable exercise in calisthenics, oftentimes people just practice the isolated part and they don't integrate the whole thing into the entire getup. This entire movement pattern is going to consist of 3 parts. It will start in child's pose. It will go to an outside lunge with our foot pointed straight ahead, and then we are just going to stand all the way up. This is part of that larger series of get-ups that we are going to do. This one starts with your chest pointed towards the ground, with your hips all the way back as opposed to a push-up. There are also versions that you do with your chest pointed towards the sky from your right shoulder and from your left shoulder. And then there will be versions in the get-ups that you do with objects in your hands. I have bad knees, so I put something down underneath my knees. If you're doing high reps of this, grinding your knees into any hard surface sucks over time. You will notice when I get into my seiza position or seated kneeling position, what we are trying to do is sit all the way down. You should be lower than me. I've had 3 major knee surgeries and ligament replacements. If you practice this exercise slowly over time, your range of movement in your knees will get better. The most important things from this starting position is that your rib cage is not lifted up so your lower back is not scooped backwards. Drive your rib cage down, tuck your tailbone underneath, and try to verticalize your spine. Sit back as far as you can in this position. You could use gloves if you need to on whatever surface you're training on. Let's try that today because this is a hard asphalt surface. You don't need them if you don't mind getting cool calluses or ripping your hands up. And training on something like hard concrete or asphalt will eventually destroy a pair of good gloves pretty quickly. From our kneeling position, reach out with one hand, reach out with the other hand. Arms are perfectly straight. Tailbone points all the way back. We don't want to have our knees in this bent position. Sit back with your tailbone, drag your arms with you, keep your arms straight. Once your hands are in this position, they do not move forward or back during this exercise. 2 hands out, step out with one leg. Point your toes straight ahead. Get your foot as close to your hand as you can and point that foot straight up. Different styles of movement training will do different things in this position. Some people will pull hands up on either side of the body for artistic purposes. With us, we're going to leave our hands here until we pick them straight up, putting them in front of our body. This lead leg, we're going to drive up through that heel. Some people will have to do an adjustment in the beginning to get their leg a little closer back to them. Roll your rear toe underneath, stand all the way up, squeeze your glutes at the top. Basic stand up with everything pointed straight ahead so we could add other types of movement after this. Step back with that same leg that we had before. If you have a mark on the ground, get your knee back to that mark. The first couple of times you do it, take the time to put your knee in the correct spot so that your body figures out all of its correct distances. Hands go back down to the ground, knee down, sit all the way back. If you've done it correctly, then your tailbone will be all the way back and your hands will be generally in the same spot. Drive out, step out, roll your toe underneath, stand all the way up, step back. Try to have your knee end up in the same spot that it started in without looking at it. If you have to look at it in the beginning, that's fine. Hands down, all the way back. Step out, roll up, drive up, step back, hands down, all the way back, little adjustments, step up, body up, stand up, step back, hands down, tailbone all the way back. Put this in a category of movements much like a burpee, but think about starting from a slightly different position. Starting from this child's position is going to force people to have a different type of core firing than a plain old push-up position burpee. Later on, we will do certain things to evolve this movement and make it much harder. Most of them are going to involve the kneeling position. For this version, we have our knees down on the ground. In future versions, there will be various points in the movement where we will lift our knees up off of the ground to force core contraction. This is a slow exercise for now. It can become much faster as you get better at all of the positions. Start slow, talk your way through each position. The goal of this is to get good at all of these positions. If you have a bad knee or something you have to learn to work around, try and make both sides of your body work as close to equal as possible. And then later on, you can introduce these into various types of fight drills or athletic drills, jumping up, pushing sleds, jumping up, striking pads, jumping up, turning around, jumping over walls. This is a fun starting position that is different from a burpee, but fills the same family role of get up from the chest pointed towards the ground.